for the things I've never needed. You know, what? That's the truth. You know, I'm the only one that suffers from holding thoughts and feelings that don't serve me. You know, it's the old quote about taking poison and expecting somebody else to die. You know, this is like right in that same family, right? Is to I'm the only one that's bleeding from holding on to the things that I don't need. That's just perfect. That's just perfect. Thank you. It's vibrating in the universe. That's what's happening. I get it. I get it. So I'm starting this new series with you based on the book The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, and I'm all excited about it, and some of you are excited too. But I'm going to tell you, there's not a lot new in here that we haven't talked about at Spiritual Soul Center before. I hope that doesn't turn you off. Because it's the same kind of things we talked about when we discussed the 5 pillars of Islam, or the 4 noble truths in Buddhism, or when we talked about maybe the Gospel of Matthew and the Sermon on the Mount, or maybe the yoga, the pathways to yoga. It's all the same stuff, right? It's all the things that point us and poke at us and ask us to wake up. It's the same kind of thing that Michael Singer's talking about, as we've talked about before in these great traditions. Because I'll tell you, there's nothing new ever written. Maybe the way it's written and who writes it really speaks to us in a way, is this cut now? Speaks to us in a way that's different than it has been up to now. But all of it is about becoming our best self. And it's not really exclusively being about our best self, but it's also in how we feel about being our best self, the freedom that we feel, the compassion and the kindness that we are about it. Not just like being what we want to be, but being how we want to be in life. That's what it's about. And this book really will call us to, I'm sorry, let me see if it's loose back here. I don't think so. We'll see if that works. It leads us on a journey of self-exploration, is what this book does. It leads us to explore and to get a keen awareness of how we are and how we interact with life. And it leads us to make conscious choices in being our best self. It really leads us to have a spiritual life. And what does a spiritual life mean? A spiritual life means like knowing who you are and how you are in the universe. And knowing something about God, whatever that is for you. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. You know, I had to use this quote from Mary Oliver. She's an American poet who died this week. Some of you might be fans of her. She was 83 years old. If Mary Oliver was talking about this, she would say it this way: tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? What is it you plan to do with this one wild and precious life? That's the way Mary Oliver would talk about it. Wow, yeah, what would you do? And here's another thing she said in her poem called When Death Comes. She says, when it's over, I want to say, all my life I was a bride married to amazement. Isn't that what you want to be? A bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I have made my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened and full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited the world. I don't want to either, do you? I don't want to just visit. I want to live here. I want to live strong and bold. I want to be that person. I want to be that expression of God in that way. I think that's what Mary Oliver was talking about there. Yeah. Well, that's what this book is, one of these guideposts to living that way, to living that, you know, where you get up every day and you feel like, man, it's my time to be here, this wild and precious life. It's about equal doses of observation and the willingness to change and the willingness to just turn a little bit to see something differently, to rely on not an author or a retreat or a class I have to take, but to rely on the experience that you have in your life right now, to rely on yourself. Because this is a journey beyond yourself to your soul. And you already know all this stuff, by the way. You already know it all, but we forget. So let's get started. So here's the first premise, and I'm going to read it right here. You, my friends, all of us, you have a voice inside your head that is constantly talking. It's constantly telling you this and that, what's good and bad, what's up and down. It's constantly narrating your life. Do you believe that? Now some of you are saying, yeah, that thing drives me crazy. Others of you are saying, oh, I don't know if I should admit that yet. I don't know. Do I really have that voice inside my head? And then other people are saying, heck no, are you crazy? That's not me, no siree, no voice in my head. Well, no matter which way you answer, guess what? That's the voice in your head. By the way, that's it. There it is. That's talking to you. But seriously, think about that for a minute. In all ways, all the time, there's a voice inside our head narrating our life. Let me give you an example. So a couple of years ago, Renee decided that I should have a new car. That's my story. She's like, you need to get rid of that old wagon. Our godchild needs a car. We'll give that wagon to Angel and we'll get a new car for you. Well, not a brand new car because I don't believe in brand new anything, just about. So Renee gets me a new car. She finds the car, we go drive it. It's great. It has heated seats. It's smarter than I am. It's really a nice car. And so Renee would ask me, she'd say, how do you like your new car? And I would say, I miss my wagon. And she finally got to the point where she stopped asking me if I liked my new car because I kept saying I miss my wagon, and she's like, I don't want to hear it. But I did. I would go pick something up, and I would open the back of my car. It's an Acura RDX. And I would swing open the back, and I'm like, this would have fit in my wagon much better than this. Right, this thing is not big enough. It's not. I would be outside washing in the driveway. I need a ladder to wash the roof of the car. I didn't need a ladder for my wagon. I could wash my wagon. I could stand on the ground. You can see where this is going. This is all this voice inside my head. And even though I had a new car that was really great, I did like the heated seats. Really nice. It has a moonroof, but I haven't been able to figure out how to keep it closed so I don't open it. Renee has done the Bluetooth thing so that when I drive, I'm not working on my phone. I finally got to the point, it took 1.5 years before I could say, you know what, I like my car. But if Angel ever wants to get rid of that wagon, I want it back. That's the voice inside my head, narrating the whole thing. It's the same voice in your head, by the way. That voice is active. That voice is active. Sometimes it won't even let you go to sleep, right? It goes on and on and on from one thing to the next, right? Am I right? Maybe you're in a meeting somewhere and you're listening to the speaker, but all the things in your mind are commenting on the fashion sense of everyone who's there. Right? Or maybe it's just a fly buzzing around and who it's landing on next. Yeah, what's everything going on there, right? Somebody needs a fly swatter, right? That's what happens. When you see a new puppy or a kitten, that same voice is narrating inside your head. Oh, sweet, look at that baby, right? That's what happens. And here's a good one. So you run to the grocery store first thing in the morning. You got a hat on, haven't taken a shower, and you see somebody you know. I don't even have to tell you what the conversation is inside your mind, right? That's what happens. That's the voice I'm talking about. That's the voice I'm talking about. Here's the other example I have written down here. It's the same voice that as you pull out of your driveway or parking space says, did you really turn the light off? And is the front door locked? It's that voice. It's that voice that drives us crazy, narrating every single aspect of our life nonstop. Nonstop. Here's premise number 2. You are not that voice. You are the one that hears it. You are not that voice. You are the one who observes it and is aware of it. Here's how I know that. Have you ever tried to meditate and you can't because those thoughts are doing the thing? And then later on, Paula says, how's your meditation like? Well, I was sitting in my chair this morning, but all I saw was all these thoughts going by. Yes, exactly. You are the observer of those thoughts. You are not those thoughts. In fact, one way we teach, we can start to meditate, is to actually do that, just to sit and just watch the stuff go by. Just watch it. Don't try to control it. Just watch it go by. Because you are not that. And I am not that. I am the one who sees that. I am the one who observes that. I am the one who notices those thoughts. Well, why the heck does this matter at all? So what? So we have these thoughts, and so we have this thing, and so I am not that. Well, I'll tell you why it matters. Because every problem that we have, and every problem that you have, is due to that voice inside your head narrating your life for you. We have basically taken the world as it is out here, put it in our brain, and we live there with a maniac roommate. That's what happens. That's what Michael Singer calls it. It's our roommate. He said, we live in there with this maniac who never shuts up, who will give us bad advice that we take. And in the next moment, because somebody says something, boom, have the other side of the story. We do that. And that's what causes us to suffer. That's what causes us to not be happy. That's what causes us frustration, is that voice inside our minds. It's what stops us from finding peace. When it's angry, the roommate says, yeah, I'll give you angry. Let me tell you about that. If it's jealousy we're feeling, that roommate's right on it, right on it. If we're feeling taken advantage of, boy, that roommate says, yes, you are. Yes, you are. And it will give you everything you need, all the narration you need to support that. But you are not that voice. You are the one who hears it. True personal growth is possible by constantly remembering that you are the one inside that notices the voice talking. That is the way out. You're ready to grow when you finally realize that the I who is always talking inside will never be content. It always has a problem with something. Honestly, when was the last time you really had nothing bothering you? I mean nothing. Before you had your current problem, there was a different problem. And if you're wise, you will realize that after this one's gone, there'll be another one. The bottom line is this: you'll never be free of your problems until you are free from the part within that has so many problems. This is the way out. The way out is in. And the question is never, what do I do about this problem? The question is, what about this has made me feel this inside? What about this is, we call it getting on my last nerve? What about this? Why is that happening? What about that is happening in me? That's the question, not well, how do I solve this, but what in me is getting disturbed, in Michael Singer's language. What in me is getting disturbed by this? You see that? The work is within. The work is inside in this way. To attain true inner freedom, you must be able to objectively watch your problems instead of being lost in them. You know how that is. We even have a visual for this, right? We have the devil on this side and the angel on this side, and we're doing this kind of thing. Right? That's our visual for that inside. But to attain freedom, we have to be able to watch that instead of getting lost in it. No solution can possibly exist while you're lost in the energy of a problem. We know that. We all know that. That's not anything new to anybody who's sitting here, I'm quite sure. We can't solve it if we're anxious and scared and angry about it. It's impossible. The first problem you have to deal with is your own reaction. Problems are not generally what they appear to be. When you get clear enough, you will realize that the real problem is that there is something inside of you that can have a problem with almost anything. That's the truth. But there's a way out, and the way out is in. The way out is to notice and to realize that I am not that voice, that I can sit in the seat of the witness and watch that in my life. And that, my friends, really is the first step to getting beyond that, to getting into a place of freedom. And that's your assignment this week, really. That's it. Is to simply notice. Notice where your mind is and what it's telling you when you're in the shower. The first thing you get up, just notice. Don't try to change it. Don't try to adjust it. Just notice where it is. And notice how often that voice is causing you suffering or anguish or frustration. Notice how often it invites you to love or to hope or to be joyful. Just notice that voice. Because here's really the promise. The promise of it all is held on this card from a dear friend that gave me this card. I probably have this card for a year or more. And here's the place that I know we can get to. And the quote is this from Brian Andreas. Anybody Brian Andreas fan? Deciding everything is falling into place perfectly. As long as you don't get too picky about what you mean by place or perfectly. That's where we're getting to. That's where we're getting to. So this week, really, as we prepare for meditation, just watch. Just observe. Just take the seat of witness. Just notice that you are not that voice, but you are the one sitting in awareness of that voice. So let's take a deep breath in and get ready to just sit with that. To know that I am not that. Next week, we'll talk about who we really are. We'll expand on this idea. But this week, just to notice the voice and to realize that I am not that voice. So breathing in and breathing out. Watching the thoughts, the voice. Let it have its way. Sit in the seat of the witness. So as we prepare to bring our awareness back into this time and place, breathing in and breathing out, listen to this short poem from Untethered. I knew I was on the right path when I started to feel peace in situations where I would normally feel tension. I invite you to, when you're ready, open your eyes, take a deep breath, look around, and be present in this place now.